earlier about his symptoms.
Oh.
And it seemed terribly. Throat bleeding.
Oh, that's...
Now, I'm no doctorologist, but I will tell you this much. If your throat's bleeding, something's probably wrong. Let's get underway with TSM versus Mirage. By the way, we'll talk about the rosters as we actually get into it. I'm very interested to see how Kento does. And no, not Kanto.
No.
Kanto Raketti is a Finnish world champion.
True.
Who currently plays on Rogue and once played on the Penta/G2 roster. Kento is a North American Challenger League player who has now made it to the big leagues and is on Mirage.
Yep. Kento and Kanto. It'll get tricky.
It actually sounds identical when you say it because of your accent.
Yeah. Kento and Kanto. So we'll try and do a... We'll call him Kinto.
It's a fun game. We're not going to do that.
No, we're not going to.
We're going to get into the action here on Oregon. We saw Theme Park for map numero uno, and then we saw Bank, and then we saw Theme Park again, and now we see Oregon. There are 9 maps in the map pool if you haven't followed along, which means we could see a lot of different maps on a given day. No more Oregon border consulates. None of that nonsense.
I miss consulate. I'm not gonna lie.
I do not.
That's fair, actually.
One of the big storylines. I had that frog in my throat. One of the big storylines has been Azami's pick rate.
Yep.
There's been a lot of chatter on social media talking about how prevalent she has been in the meta. And take a look.
There she is.
First round, Merc is going to be playing her.
Not surprised, actually. I feel like Merc... I feel like it would pretty much be Merc or Bolo playing this operator, but I feel like Mercury is like the guy to do it because of how aggressive Merc finds himself. At least in the stage 1, also doing invitationals, of course. He seems like the right fit. On the other side, of course, we see Ying. This is the first Ying that you and I have seen today, but it was played in the previous matchup that you might have just witnessed on the screen. That was, of course, on the theme park.
Wouldn't that technically mean that we saw Ying as well? We didn't cast her.
We saw it, but not really. Good night.
That's an entrance to Pro Play. Kento's very first round and also very first kill for Kento's. Bursts into the building and down goes Merc. So, Azami, what are you able to do? That is the real question.
That is true, and of course, I mean, starting off on that finger LMG does make your life a little bit easier, but nonetheless, getting confidence by getting an opening kill in the first 20 seconds is only a good thing.
This is a messy intro to Oregon for both of these teams. We're 50 seconds into action, and now down goes Nyx. Nyx is one of the newer players from Mirage as well. In fact, one of the 2 newest, even though he's been on this roster before. Nyx is back, baby, as I said. And he is not going to be long for this Earth. Bolo creeping around. And he might actually get one, and there you go. Drops right down on top of Melted. We call that one the Assassin's Creed. That's another UB title.
That is true. Oregon so far being a little bit missing in a slot, but so far looking pretty good for TSM. Gets a nice angle for Bolo, but has to probably peel off and drop down this hedge. Yep, there we go, and so does Char follow through as well. Half the round has been burnt out. That's like the soft timer that most teams have, where they say, you know what, we can now give the map control up. We're happy with the time we've bought. Top right-hand side of your screen, you see 2 and like a dash and a 3. There's 5 drones left on the side of Mirage. Half their intel has been burnt. That means they're not going to have that much information going forward. Benji being alive on the Ying here is the execute factor. Once those Candelas go out, that's when you know stuff is going to hit the fan.
That's a bit of a misplay, and
it's unlucky.
It's a bit of an unlucky throw. Still plenty of flashbangs left for Benji. Bolo having a great time of it right now, losing a bunch of HP in the process. TSM in a numbers advantage. Melted and Nyx are all gone. Still a hard breach remains. Marm has all 18 of those X-Kairos available and Diffuser in hand as well. Mirage cannot afford to get bogged down on Freezer, but that's exactly where it seems. Candelas go out. Kento walks up ever more. She gives away the position to Kento, and you got enough munition to just dump on in. Mirage cleaning up very effectively. Cannot outduel Bolo. That's the real deal. He's got one more kill to be found, but he can't do it. Benji picks up kill number 3, and good old Geonidas, as he calls himself, Geometric, gets the very last kill. TSM survives a bit of a scare. Bolo puts in a 4-kill effort, denied the ace by Benji, but TSM still wins round number 1.
It's gonna say a great day to be a Bolo fan because it had kind of a rough time, both at invite and also in stage 1, of course. So getting a 4-kill to start things off is a very nice view if you are a fan of TSM or Bolo. Good early opening from Kento, from Mirage, but ultimately better team play from TSM. They played together in the mid game, they found those 2 kills and fell back and played together, utilized their shield positions with their ADSs and whatnot, and we now will see TSM's nice little living quarters while we have a small and quick tech pause. I will say about Oregon, I'm not necessarily a huge fan when like a significantly quote-unquote better team agrees to go there, because I always see Oregon as like a coin flip map, like a 50-50 if you will, where if you are like TSM Mirage, where like most people are gonna expect TSM to win, I feel like that's not where you want to go, because everyone pretty much plays Oregon in a very similar fashion, the same strategies and setups, because the map just is a little bit more linear, but so far so good. At least it's not theme park from TSM, because as we know, that did not end well in stage 1 only a few months back. Second round, and funny enough, we spoke about Asami being played likely between Merc and Bolo. First round was Merc, second round is Bolo, so that indeed is something that was accurate on our end. Of course, Frost being brought out from Challenge at like a significant pick of his that he plays quite often, although quite a rare one on Oregon actually. Those Frost maps, not that many places to put them. Bolo?
Look at how Bolo is getting so aggressive, and it works out. He doesn't find the 5th kill in the previous round, but he's traded out right through the doorway. They might be able to secure this one. Kento can do it. Merc not able to get to the rescue. So either way, just like that, TSM get the first pick, but it is not a long-term advantage. Almost immediately traded back. Kento with the 2nd kill, and again in the exact same spot. This Finka money in that part of the map, apparently.
And it's true, of course, Bolo being off the board here means that 5 of the 6 kills inside of TSM is now in the grave in that regard. Dionysus, only guy with a kill left who's also alive, but that just means there's more room now for the remaining TSM members to get on the scoreboard. Meanwhile, Mirage, they spoke in their video about how they want more structure, but also they want more of that execution calling, the play-by-play, it was said, where they want to have just one idea at a time, follow through on that idea, and have a more clear view of how they want to approach the game. And honestly, I will say, it's only been, 1.5 rounds so far, but there is a clear goal right now, but Dionysus is in their path and in their way and shuts it down immediately.
Well played by Gio in the main lobby, and again, it's Nyx and Melted, the first 2 to die. No impact whatsoever in terms of utility or in terms of kills, so Mirage instead are just gonna go for it. Kento picks up kill number 3 on this series, and a 4th almost there, but he could have picked off Gio if he just held off on that position at the top of White Stairs. We are at the 90-second mark, just past it, as Mirage still have those adrenal surges. All remain. Kento's just burned 1, so 2 still in back pocket. They can get him back up to full HP. Benji will need it as well. Both of those players of Mirage are below what they need to be at full. And given the fact that you want to use all these Candelas to your advantage, and the nades as well, you got to do something with it. Achieved, collapses onto Kento, no more adrenal surges, and it's a frost mat to take out Marm. The Nitro Cell was there for good measure. TSM pick up 2 rounds in a row despite spirited efforts and frankly, decently good aggression from Mirage.
It is, and honestly, both of those rounds coming not down to the wire necessarily from that second one, but rather close. If that Frost mat wasn't there, sure, the C4 would have gotten the kill regardless, but it comes down to those like 1v2s and 1v3s, or in the case of the very first round, down to the 1v1s. It's a good dynamic play from TSM, playing multiple floors at once, and early aggression from Bolo last round.
Early aggression from Bolo.
Chala.
It's Bolo was a little bit aggressive. Look at that, and that's a tough one for the Bodog.
Oh, he's gonna sit those one out. Unfortunate.
I was gonna say, what would Bolo say?
Unfortunate. He's usually a good spirit about these things. Thankfully, TSM up 2-0, so it's not like a massive tilt. Like, oh guys, like we gotta win our first round. Like, come on, we can't be doing this stuff. But also, you might be thinking like, how are these guys pro players and doing this on accident? But it's one of those things where if you spawn immediately, when you are the mute or you have the smoke, you got a lot of things you gotta do in the round. You gotta get to your first wall and start making that rotation instantly. It's very important that you just take a second to like figure out where each other are, especially if you're Bolo and Asami. Asami usually does not have that many things to do in the prep phase, as your gadget is basically instantaneous. So stand still, figure out what the shotguns are, let them do the first shot and figure out what the surroundings are like, then you gotta move on. These things happen. It is quite rare, I will say, but they do happen. and it's not a huge deal. 4v5, so TSM might play overly aggressive, trying to get that kill back. We'll see.
I mean, you spend all this time, you know, it's not that big of a deal. Blah, blah, blah. This is a zombie on a kitchen meeting defense.
Yeah.
Think about how many mobile covers you can create with those 5 Kiba barriers, right?
I was thinking the overall picture of accidentally is not a huge deal. But in this specific instance...
Ooh, Melted is in.
Big deal.
I think in this instance it could be quite a big deal.
I agree.
And if you look at the explosives that are available for Mirage, they've got 6 grenades, and they can very easily sledge away at them as well. Buck doesn't do anything to those Kiba barriers, but Sledge, oh boy, does he ever.
He slaps and he hams.
Already opened up one of the 2 panels leading into meeting, and Charlotte governs over top of it. Nice tracking with the SMG to take out the drone, and he's still there. It's an easy walk-in for Mirage if they want to, because the opening that's been created looks like it's enough to just stroll right through. It prompts an early toxic canister from Chala as it gets tossed on out, and even though they lost Bolo, the numbers advantage that TSM, or rather Mirage had, is now gone because Merc equalizes. On to Nyx. Nightmare Nyx, as they call him. He is on full display right now. He has been the opening death for his team, or close to, for way too long. Look at this. Chala has no idea where he died from, I bet. Melted is very close to stage, and now he's in. Marma kill onto Merc. Geo from above. Diffuser being planted in the hands of Marm. Geo doesn't know where. Sees the Nook, but it's a nice shot from Melted. Diffuser goes down, achieved retaking from the back, but thinks otherwise. Now over towards Kitchen, you can see Split through the wall that is not able to be walked through unless they want to vault on over, and the Shield will watch back of stage. Achieved knows that there's somebody over towards Garage. A 6th sense, a premonition, have you. As Geo sees the Diffuser, knows that if he hops on it, he's doomed. Nate goes out, gingerly avoiding it. Achieved, killed through the wall, so it's all on the shoulders of Geo. And now an EE1D will go out. Geo trapped in this corner. Achieved was down, now finished off. Grenades go off. Geo's only got 6 seconds to go. That's it. Not a lot, but about to hit the point of no return.
G Pro was saying that they all chose for that one. They all opted for it. Quite a common mouse in pro play. Warden. Seeing play makes sense because Mirage has been bringing the Ying every single round. So good counter pick, as Warden cannot get blinded when his gadget is active, nor can he get smoked off. Not that the smokes have really been a factor thus far, as Benji keeps bringing the secondary Heartbeat gadget of that can opener. But regardless, it's always nice to have that option. Bolo doing some flexing as it's his 3rd operator in 4 rounds.
I was going to say, is this the first round without Azami as well, or was there no Azami on the Dorms defense? I can't remember that exact
No, there
lineup.
was. So Merc played the 1st round, Bolo played the 2nd round, Bolo played the 3rd round.
And then died.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically Bolo didn't play the 3rd round.
Technically not.
Because he died.
He spawned in and he was gone.
Yeah, he spawned in and then was immediately removed from the server. In this case, Bolo obviously on that flex pick role. We see the same out of Merc. Geo can also go onto that. You tend to see Chala and Achieved on those more hardened roles. Chala always on support roles. Achieved usually always on aggressive fragging roles. But in this case, a smoke for Achieved, maybe a little outside of his wheelhouse. After the first stage that TSM had, you got to make some changes. You just have to. You don't go from winning the World Championship to then finishing in the bottom of the barrel in NAL, especially when domestically the NAL looks as competitive as it does. I mean, with the exception of match number 1 today with Beast Coast versus Dark Zero, you need all 15 rounds for matches 2 and 3. That's huge. It's even possible here, despite the fact that, well, Mirage do not have the best history as a squad here in North America.
It's very competitive NAL right now and has been, of course, also arguably in Stage 1, but there's a few teams that fell short, as you mentioned. So far, they're looking good. Mirage, of course, has 1 round on the board. TSM has 2. Right now, it's just a roam clear from the side of Mirage. Last time TSM was in the basement, they fell back off the roam at about 1:30 in the round. And right now, well, about 1:45, we got Mirage breaching the first couple of hatches, which means they're about 15 to 20 seconds ahead of schedule from last time. They got the Ying for the execute, they got 1 grenade left on Finger, they have 2 on Nyx on the Sledge. They have a lot of different tools they can use, and they've been able to open up all the hatches because Ibane is on the board. So this now just means that Mirage can show us that they have been working on that late run execution. They gotta make the right decision on where to strike, when to strike, and set up these different elements. For example, you gotta clear out these shield positions, and then you gotta deal with the Warden that you cannot flash or blind, and that's where the Ying might bait you into an unfortunate situation if you choose the right option.
Bolo's been very creative on this shield, and this was the particular area where he claimed 3 of the 4 kills, all the way back in round number 1. En route to TSM's very first victory, and you can see a hail of projectiles going in. Bolo doing damage, but he's dancing around all those explosives going off. Nyx almost the first casualty. Nobody has died just yet, but Kento, with another successful entry, being so strong for Mirage thus far. Down he goes. Bolo with a kill immediately traded out by Benji, so no more Finka. All utility from Benji is now gone. So 30 seconds left, and you've essentially got this calm before the storm. And it's quiet, very eerily quiet, as Melted still sits by Freezer. Nyx searching for his very first kill, still alive, even though on a tiny bit of HP. Down goes Marm, so the diffuser surrendered as well. Nyx firing away, cannot hit the broadside of a barn, and now he's as good as dead because Merc, inside of the closet, takes 2 down before the round expires, and TSM are up 3-1.
Look at how Mirage gets stuck immediately once those Candelas go out. They are so dependent on that specific element going the right way that when they stop popping, they stand still, waiting for something to happen. But when you're on the attacking side and you don't have bomb site control, you need to be the ones making these moves to create these openings. They're not gonna just come being they're not gonna, oh my god, they're not gonna be given to you from a team like TSM. I would argue that if Benji were to go off the secondary heartbeat gadget and pick up some smoke grenades, that could be another way for them to, deny lines of sight, get an entry in towards the bomb site, and have more tools and options to work with. Osa also comes to mind, having a deployable shield to give you cover and a strong position on the map. None of those options right now are really being chosen from them, and we're still looking for Nyx to get the first kill. TSM, similar lineup that last time into Kid Storm's bedroom, they got the first picked up.
The only player right now yet to get a kill is Nyx, and his efforts have been there. I mean, he did get an assist, so there was some softening up that was done. He's been playing this Sledge role quite reliably. On a map like this, Sledge is a very critical operator. You bring all the soft destruction that's needed, especially if you're going to tackle any of those upstairs bomb sites, or rather, those main floor bomb sites, but that require you to take control of upstairs. Because even though both kitchen and dining and then kitchen and meeting are on that main floor, you would argue that, more importantly, holding map control on that second floor, which is prime fodder for the Sledgehammer to tear away at all the wooden floors, that is most crucial. Anyway, Kento. Let's talk about Kento for a second. Yes, he is on, and I quote, Jesse J. Chick. And J stands for just always so right.
Okay.
He is on the most powerful attacking operator in the game, which is Finka.
Correct.
But is still doing well against what is usually a pretty dominant lineup from TSM. If you can drop 5 kills against Bolo, against Merc, against everybody else on this team, you're doing pretty good. And almost all of those have been entry kills from Kento as well. That is most critical. Now, Nyx is going to search for his first kill still longer, as he's now 0-5, an early grave. It's the 1 minute into this round, and he is long dead.
That he is. Gets to IGL, help out from the grave on those drones, of course, can hold down the flanks. It gives some directions to his teammates. Melted, waiting for a peek, and the peek comes around, but nothing comes out of it. No damage done to either side. Now Mirage are finding themselves once again kind of stuck in this position as TSM has 3 players challenged in the entries. One guy runs away, but Bolo swings and finds Kento. It's a nice kill there, shutting down another entry player from the side of Mirage.
4 kills in the first round of Bolo help him get to the 7 total. Diffuser being planted by Marm, but the rest of Mirage is falling by the wayside. Benji, the only one upright at the moment. Diffuser goes down nonetheless. Benji with 1 taken out immediately, and Marm blown up by a Nitro Cell. TSM still have 4 players left alive. What a brazen move by Mirage to get the Diffuser down. They exploit a small hole in the defense, but the supporting cast around Marm, not up to snuff. Even though the objective play is good, TSM stretched their lead. Mirage still holding onto that 1 round. Otherwise, TSM 4-1.
A plan does go down, so you get that stat to to check, but there's no post plan, there's no viable positions, and there's nobody really left alive from Mirage. It's always a fine balance where between when you want to be planting and when you want to be getting kills. If you're in a 2 versus 4 and the bomb goes down and no one's in a really strong post plant position, just like what we just saw from Mirage, odds are you're gonna fall short and you're just gonna lose the round. It's very important only really to be planting when you can back it up afterwards and then you have a fighting chance. Otherwise, it just kind of appears like a panic plan. We're like, okay, we don't know exactly what to do, we don't know how to get there. Let's just hold down F on the keyboard and pray the bomb goes down and see what happens. That's kind of what that round felt like to me, because you had Melted just walk up the white stairs, looking at pretty much nothing, just, you know, desperately trying to make sure the plant went down, and he lost his life because of it. He had to fight 3 different angles, crossfires from TSM, and it turned out TSM had no idea they were even planting in the first place. So, bit of a dire situation. Round 6 starting up, final defense for TSM, unless of course we go to overtime. We still see Achieve and TSM extending nicely out on the map, denying, or at the very least, challenging the entry points from Mirage.
There's no sacrifice that was paid by TSM either. Last time they did this was that unfortunate team kill onto Bolo, and they lost that round. The only defense that TSM was not successful on. But Bolo still remains, and we'll get to see the inventive additions of the Kiba barriers. There's one just to stop bullet pens through a soft wall. A lot of people think of the Kiba barriers being applied in ways like mobile cover, or to patch up a breach or a drone hole. But you can also just throw it onto a soft wall, and guess what? You're not going to get bullet pen through that wall because the Kiba is going to block it. So that said, Bolo still up top, assisted by Merc. There's Selma's going off onto the wall leading into games through Closet. Now Nyx will go on to Drone as an EE1D is burned in the process. This is still the discovery phase for Mirage. Nyx still searching for kill number 1. Melted looking for more than 1. In terms of the fragging department, Mirage, through these 6 rounds, have not been even remotely close to TSM, and that has been a big problem.
It has. Gunplay, of course, plays a big factor, especially in Oregon, where the strats are a bit more linear. Now we can see what Mirage will do. EE1D goes out, Aggression follows up, and Bolo has to hold on strong or fall back because only Merc is there helping a 2 versus 4 effectively.
And Chiefs Nitro Cell claims Nyx, so the first half in the books for Nyx in this instance. Mirage can still go on to win the round, but this has been a rough re-entry to pro play. Dragging that LMG across, just an immense amount of bullets. Kento takes down Merc and has an opening below him. I don't think they've droned out Geo, though, playing from above. The positioning now able to escape through back tower. As Bolo still remains, but he's fallen down below, and those small openings that have been created, he can very inventively watch. He's got 1 remaining Kiba in his back pocket that he can throw out at a moment's notice. Geo at the back of meeting. That's where the execute from Mirage came out last time. He's there to stop it if they push in that direction. Bolo's been down by Melted from above as the action is staggered across this map. And it leaves us with 40 seconds. And now TSM at a disadvantage. This bomb site was the only one that TSM did not prevail in. Right now it's looking similar unless there can be some heroics. It's a bit of a split push from Mirage as Benji now inside of Dining. He's got Kitchen in his eyesight, waiting to move in. The rest of TSM just sitting pretty. Geo is still off-site, keep that in mind. What? Achieved sprayed through the wall, that must have been a mark on their part. Achieved is down for the count. All of a sudden Mirage have a numbers advantage that is doubling up on TSM. And boy, oh boy, this is gonna get real hairy. Chala watching the bomb, watching the diffuser go down. Marm is there, good coverage from Benji, stops him in his tracks, and there it is, cleanup from Mirage as this bomb site proves to be in their wheelhouse. First half in the books, TSM walks away with a 4-2 lead, but there are some deficiencies on this tertiary bomb site that allow Mirage to pick up those 2 rounds.
Indeed. Is it effectively 3 plans for Mirage as well in 6 rounds? Actually not bad at all. And this wall in particular onto Achieved really sealed the deal. There was 17 or 18 seconds left, and Achieved himself in a great position to deny any plant that was about to go down. Had the SMG-11, had the shotgun as well, and could have done great work from servers. But the wallbang shut it down. It is no longer a possibility or a factor in play, and we will see Thunderbird being picked up. All 3 Kona stations placed down in a safe position in the middle of the bomb site. So if anyone gets damaged throughout the round, they can run there, get healed back up, and Kento can then play very much aggressive on the roam game, as I assume he will be on, with those 2 impact grenades, because he's already put down all his utility. And this is why it's so important to keep note of who's a roaming operator and who's not that suited for a roaming operator. So we talk about passive and active gadgetry, like Jaeger's ADSs. Put them down, you're now a gun. Thunderbird works the same way. You are now just a free roaming spirit. You can take gunfights left and right, and if you survive and take damage, you can even run all the way back to side and get healed right back up. Kento 6-4 so far, having a great debut in Pro League so far.
Yeah, it's been a great debut across the board. Gunner also having a really good showing. You got that ace earlier in the Parabellum match, in case you didn't watch. And Kento living up to it as well. Off of the Finka now as they move to defense. Instead will be on Thunderbird. Now Thunderbird's pick rate is not that high. A very situational operator depending on what bomb site you're on and what map you're on. When you see Oregon, there are a couple different ways you can use a Thunderbird on pretty much every bomb site if we're being frank. Now this is a downstairs defense, so laundry supply room. You can put those Thunderbird gadgets, the K-Kona stations.
K-Kona station.
I was hoping you would pick up on it, but you nodded your head. You didn't even react.
I smiled too.
Didn't even react. Just nodded his head. He's like, yeah, of course, the K-Kona stations. The Kona stations that you can situate basically down on the bomb site in areas where if you know you're going to be naded or take a little bit of chip damage, you can fix it. Or you can assist it on the roam right now. Now, Kento's not going to be assisted by those stations at all because he's dead. TSM walking right in achieved first blood for TSM. And Gio looks for a kill, but Nyx gets his very first of this series and of his return to NAL.
Gio getting a bit greedy there. Heard the barricade and closed down, sprinted down and pre-fired. A good play, honestly, but well read by Nyx. Slightly hurt the sprint because it's so loud on that staircase on the basement laundry. 4v4, minute 20 to go. Similar pacing as Mirage, about halfway through the round. We now see TSM with full map control of the roam game. They got 6 drones left. They got a ton of grenades. At 8 in total, they got 6 left in the pockets and 3 flashbangs to follow up. And there is no Jaeger on the board, just the Wamai and his magnets. So these grenades can do a ton of damage, and that's really necessary because Melted has 2 more keeper barriers in his pocket that can really deny these lines of sight and make TSM's life a bit difficult. And you see here, the first nail will get tossed out, likely to try and clear out the barrier, and there it goes.
Works successfully. Merc flying under the radar. It is 8-3. Everybody was talking about Bolo because why not? But it's really been the Merc show through the second half of this matchup. The Azami of Melted showing himself, but for a second, Benji takes out Bolo. Nade primed and ready. Melted could have his name on it. Nyx killed from the back. Merc is just in the middle of the bomb site, and a huge triple from Merc. Suddenly, though, it's Chala and Merc against Marm. Over towards Elbow. Does Merc know the positioning? It sure doesn't seem like it. That Adrenal Surge has gotten Chala back from the dead. Now Marm's position spotted. Merc looking for kill number 4, and it's a vault back in as Marm needs to retake with the diffuser burning down. In the midst of the bomb site, but Merc doesn't see the shoulder of Marm, just narrowly avoiding his gaze, and Merc will continue to reposition. Marm hunting for kills finds Chala, and now suddenly she's in a 1v1. Merc has looked so mighty fine. He just needs to play the clock, but Marm puts a statement on the round. What a heroic effort. And it is cheers erupt from the bench of Mirage. They get their very first defense.
That right there is also one of the hardest 1v1s you will have in your career. It is not just the Merc you're up against, it's the Finga LMG, and you got an SMG 11 to work with. What a huge achievement, huge accomplishment. And what looked like a fantastic opening, or what wasn't a fantastic opening from Merc, gets shut down in his tracks. The post plant, a little bit too aggressive between Chala and Merc. They did not get the 1 versus 2. It was 2 1 versus 1s back to back that Marm took advantage of and opened for herself, which then gave Mirage their 3rd round on the board. And oh my, look top left, folks, because I see a glass from a Chief. Now, this can get a tanker repick because it doesn't make a ton of sense in this current lineup, unless, of course, Gio is running smokes and thermite. But even then, let's talk about Glass for a second. Glass got some slight changes in this season patch. He is now a 3-speed operator, and he's got a Baron 9 secondary.
Yes.
Both of which makes him... And he's gone.
No!
I was gonna say, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to play him, but anyhow, he's a little bit stronger. If we see more smoke grenades being played, or if Sense gets picked up, of course, we might see some Glass shenanigans. You know, the Glass meta returning that we had once before, but not yet. Not just yet.
Obviously, Glass pairs very well with Sens. It's it's like a medium rare steak paired very well with a Cabernet Sauvignon. You know, they go together so well. But I don't even know if there's enough changes for Glass to be as relevant as he used to be. Obviously, Glass also works quite well with Ying, for example, especially since Ying has access to those smokes. Though we've seen the teams running Ying with that secondary hard breach gadget. All that said, we can speculate all we want, but that's not the reality of what's happening in this match. Achieved looked maybe the sledge, but no, instead settled for the Nook. very quickly, TSM are just taking up ground and are inside Master. And look at how close Bolo is. There's no extension from Mirage over towards Armory. There's no extension over towards Master. So it allows you to play this position quite quickly. That's exactly what TSM have done. The only real impediment would be Benji and Attic, who's watching the doorway that can then look towards Trophy, that connector point between Master towards the actual bomb site.
Yep. Mirage's focus right now is actually downstairs, trying to use that vertical play. Melted and Kento, both with a C4 in their pocket. Of course, the Valkyrie cameras on the bomb site itself will give some information, so it might even be Mirage almost trying to bait them into a plan so that they can see for them from below, trying to get cheeky here. We'll see if TSM reads it or has information downstairs, but Kento right now in a great position for a possible flank. The guy main door spots him though, does a bit of damage, but it's not going to be enough, he's still alive.
Oh my, all 4 players except for Marm on Mirage, or rather 4 of the 5, all taking a huge amount of damage, and there's no way to get them back up to snuff. So instead, it's a bullet or 2 away from death for 4/5 of this roster. That's not ideal for Mirage, especially when you look at the fact that you've got grenades, you've got explosives chipping away at the remainder of their HP. Down goes Kento, the star performer for Mirage thus far, but Benji has overcome that and become the sole leader for the team in terms of kills. He finds yet another, this time onto Merc. Still, TSM walks away from the ensuing engagement with a numbers advantage. Melted tries to retake the bomb site, but it's Geo there to shut him down. Marm in the midst of it has the Kiba barriers protecting herself, but needs to play it well. Where are they going to push from? 40 seconds left for TSM to pull this off. Out goes an Adrenal Surge. Diffuser in the hands of Geo. He's in the midst of the bomb site too. He can easily get the plant down, which is what he's trying to do. Chal all the while watching. Down goes Benji. Marm in a 1v4, make that a 1v3. Diffuser down. Time will work against her, but she's been here before, and she succeeded. This time, the odds a little bit more daunting, and she looks the wrong way. A little bit harder to clutch your way out of a Dorms defense than a Laundry one. And while you got lucky the first time, lightning does not strike twice. TSM pick up the round, and they're up 5-3.
They are slowly building a lead, but it's gonna be well, it's only really going to get harder for TSM because as you go through these rounds and you become the victor, well, Mirage are not forced onto those tertiary bomb sites that are even more difficult. And we spoke early on in that round that they didn't really extend into Master Bedroom Armory at all. They gave all that ground for free up to TSM, and they made really quick work. Normally we see teams extending into the most likely entry point for the attackers to stop them, kill some. Oh, we're seeing more shenanigans happening here, and it's once again the Asami player taking so much damage but staying alive nonetheless.
What is it with the Azami players, Nick? First it was Bolo taking all that damage, and now it's Melted. It's like, you know what, it's like my ranked games. It's like, you don't, if I can't play the new op, nobody plays the new op.
I think I agree. I mean, that's gotta be what it is, right? It's like, I want to have some fun with this operator because honestly, Asami might be one of the operators so far, even though it's only day 1, that's been played by so many different players in the same roster. Marm played it last round, Melted is playing it now. We had 2 different players of Merc and Bolo played from TSM. It just seems to be that because you can play this operator in so many different ways, it's good to have different brains on this operator to see what you can do with it.
Wait, hold on a second. I want to go and I want to look at exactly what that Kiba is on the barrier. On that middle post right there. Look at that. I think they had a better idea of it. I don't think it worked out the way that Melted wanted it.
I agree. I think it was meant to be blocking this angle from the window below, but it didn't really quite work out.
No, it didn't. Melted having the inverse of the fabled Michael Jordan flu game here, whereas if people remember, Michael Jordan had that supposed flu game where he had like food poisoning from eating whatever he ate, and he just absolutely tore it up. Melted obviously is very under the weather right now and is not having a very good game, and seems to get worse as now he's down and finished off by Chala. That was a nade tossed in. It's a good joint effort. Merc takes out Kento before Marm refrags, so still TSM has that advantage. 1 minute off the board, and it's a 4v3.
That it is, and a little bit dire because when you extend into big tower, especially with Melts being 1 HP from that team damage done earlier, it's not really going to be a highly successful thing, and it wasn't. That leaves Nux downstairs on first floor of big tower, having to find a kill here to try and even back the numbers. The shield in the middle of that hallway is not going to help you a ton because TSM, they're coming from multiple angles at once, and, well, Nux, you're all alone with no help to be had.
Deployable shield will flummox TSM for a second. Nade goes out. Coverage is denied. Benji knows that there's somebody in that area. Can't capitalize off of it. Marm falls to Chala. TSM's advantage grows with half of the round to go, as Benji will now hit the deck. They have coverage for Mirage up top, but the bomb site is Meeting and Kitchen, that same tertiary bomb site that TSM faltered on defense. If Mirage are not successful here, they've gambled on a bomb site that will go 0 for 3 on defense, and TSM will move to match point. Not an ideal situation to find yourself in. Damage being done to Geo, and it's a finish off by Benji. That numbers advantage for TSM, not as high as it was, but it's regained, and Bolo gets the fun. Because you can easily lose Laundry Supply Room if you don't fix your issues.
Absolutely correct. And, well, similar fashion as last time, same operator lineup, but it will be basement once again. These 3 Kona stations, or K Kona stations, will be put downstairs. I want to look at the Chief here because he's doing some flexing, and I do like it. I want to see if he sticks it. Showed the glass, attacker repeat onto Monty. We saw Merc right now attacker repicking from Sledge onto the Ying. These are, again, the execution-based operators that the basement bomb site really, really likes to be seen on, or they like to be seen on this bomb site, because you can just walk on in. Slight change of heart as the Chief says, nah, just a bait once again. I'm sorry, casters. It's Sledge time again. Geo on the Amaro, curious what the strategy is there, because you know you can go in fast to clear the roam on big tower maybe, but the bomb site itself won't be changed at all. And yep, there it is, big fast injure in the tower. Although it's not going to change much, but it's something.
Geo's having the Shaiko game right now. 4 kills, 4 deaths, 4 assists. I don't know if you saw Fabian's tweet or something like that. He's in like room 222 or something like that. He said that he was like in the like half of the Shaiko room. Look at this. Kento gets walked right into a trap set by Geo up top, sitting on that pirate's nest, that crow's nest, and down below, you better watch yourself. That's the very first pick. TSM 4 kills until they put this one away. Hard to gauge based on Mirage's previous results if TSM are quote-unquote back. But if you remember in Stage 1, it was Mirage that beat TSM. That was Mirage's lone regulation victory, if I remember correctly, or lone victory, rather, was over TSM. I'd obviously have to look those numbers up because I don't have them directly in front of me. You're welcome to look at it. I don't know what Achieved was doing. He was just brain AFK, standing inside a kitchen. Immediately, you have the numbers back at a 4v4. That's a successful roam by the mute of Marm and a relatively easy kill. Benji goes down below as he was up top, and now Bolo has control of security.
Mirage won 2 games in regulation, 7-4 Beast Coast as well as 7-5 TSM.
And there you go. So I was right. I was half right.
You're wrong.
Right.
You're wrong.
I think it's worth noting that I also missed almost all of NAL.
So you weren't doing your job. I guess.
I missed it.
You missed it.
I had visa issues, and I caught COVID, and I thought my appendix was trying to kill me.
But you're alive.
It was a long road, and I'm still alive. You know, I'm still alive, and I'm here, and I feel like I am existing.
Okay, that's good too.
People are going to be like, oh, he's thriving?
No,
Certainly
he's
not.
existing.
1 minute left, and after those first 2 picks, Nick, not a lot has transpired. TSM seemingly in control of Freezer. Nobody from Mirage is watching that area. It was briefly flirted with that Laundry would be the way to the bomb site, but now TSM look to reposition. Seems like Meeting is the way to go.
Comes down from American with the injury. He's so lethal once he pops off. He did it last time. Can he do it again? Smoke goes out, burns the Bomai disc. The next up is the Candelas, of course. They go ratatatata, and the execute comes through.
Everything's working out really well, and now the Candelas go in. Rolling thunder, if you want to call it that. Merc in the midst of the bomb site. Nitro Cell goes out. Mirage hitting their shots. TSM trailing in numbers, but it's a Finca as well as a Hibana to hold true, and it's Bolo in on this one. Chala, single kill, control of Laundry looks to be theirs, but now Marm needs to be wrestled with. Chala's going to do all this himself, by the way. It's a 1-in-9 Nyx, Nightmare Nyx as they call him. Will he haunt the dreams of TSM? He has no idea where they are. Pulls out the shotgun, a drop onto Chala, and he's just racking them up now. But are these impactless kills? He needs another on to Bolo! I don't know what it is with these smoke players. I don't know what it is with these SMG 11 players, but they get it done twice. Mirage staving off defeat again with yet another 1v2 clutch on the same bomb site.
You're right, Parker. The fundamentals of the basement aren't great for Mirage necessarily, but the clutch factor, the SMG-11, the 1v2s, literally the exact same thing in reverse, or happening once again rather. This time it was Bolo and Chala, not Chala and Merc, but regardless, the Finga and the Hibana in the 1v2. Once again, one person plays super aggressive. There's no trade from TSM. They throw the 1v2. They lack a little bit of discipline, and it bites them in the butt cheeks. 6-4. We now got Kid Storm defense. Last time, well, did not work out for the side of Mirage. The nades were too lethal from down below, did too much damage, and Achieve's gotta stop this. He's been hovering glass the last like 3 or 4 rounds, and he always goes away from it at about 17 seconds in.
All right, 3 more seconds.
Yep.
2 more seconds. 1 more second.
Should be here.
No.
No, wait.
Does he know that they don't see it, right?
You said brain AFK,
there
there it
go,
is.
there you go, there it is. He says, let's maybe go with the glass. He keeps trying to make it work, but once again, that whole square peg circular hole, you can't fit one in. You never heard the idiom?
I have no idea.
Maybe they don't have it where you're from.
I'm from Denmark.
They say you can't hit a square peg through a circular hole.
That's true.
And that's what he's trying to do.
Okay.
He's trying to get the glass, which is the square peg, through this bomb site, which is the circular hole. Can't work that way.
Oh,
so now he needs to go with a circular peg to go through the circular hole. And it seems like, in this case,
it's the sledge.
It's the sledge. The Nook is being brought, but this time it's Merc on that roll, given how TSM have been able to get into the building. I suspect that he'll have no problem on this operator. Out goes a nade to try and dislodge the Jaeger. Benji takes some damage in the process, but persists in the same spot in back tower.
This big tower position, of course, quite difficult to play, but Benji's just trying to waste some time and burn out some utility, and he's done so. 2 grenades, killed 2 drones as well. You can now sit back and see what comes next, but it's a grenade from above, not cooked though, so it doesn't explode him just yet.
Benji getting so lucky here, but instead he goes for the run out right into the waiting arms of Chala on repel. Still, adrenal surges remain for Bolo, so at any point, you can get them back. Bolo on drone right now, and maybe we'll call for another adrenal surge, as I think there's still 2 remaining. Late setup here on this Dorms bomb site by Mirage. Previously, TSM just whisked their way into the bomb site after dealing an immense amount of damage to almost everybody, except for, I believe it was Marm.
Yeah.
Melted, Kento, Nyx, Benji, they were all so low HP. This time around, damage has been done to Kento, and they've managed to claim Benji. But there's some weakness on TSM's side, too. Nice shot from Nyx onto Achieved. Saved the round for his team and clutched down. This time, he seems to be waking up. From 1-9 to 4-9, they're going to need that gap to close even more if Mirage want a shot at winning this series.
The opening kill is really a big issue for Mirage. I mean, in all of these rounds so far, it's only been twice. Merc finds another. Again, the isolated 1v1s not going in Mirage's favor. They need to start swinging together.
And that's exactly what's happened again, this time with Melted, the casualty for Mirage. Now it's Nyx and a downstairs Kento, who is far removed from the bomb site, but has access to a nitro cell. So not technically on site, but can still do some damage when that diffuser in the hands of Geo gets planted. Kento making his way back to the site. Nyx now under fire. Small bit of damage done to him as a toxic canister goes off. Blocking entry from Attic, still there. And still 1 toxic canister for Nyx remaining. Chala playing off of the opening as Merc walks through Trophy and gets swatted away. Nyx knows there's another. Over towards Attic again. That's where his interest lies. 30 seconds left in TSM. Will need to get into the bomb site quickly. They're all quite spread out. They've got a read on the Goyo. There's a nade from below, and this one could capitalize. Bolo, as good as gone. It puts more on the shoulders of Nyx. He clutched last round. Can he do it again? He's spotted by Chala, under fire from multiple angles, but Nyx makes it work. And he's doing a great job. He only has 1 more to find. He secures. How about an ace? But Geo says not today. TSM walks away with every single point. 7-4. Nightmare Nyx. So close, but not close enough. A huge win for TSM, but signs of hope for Mirage despite the defeat.
I thought he had it. Like the shotgun.